trying to be a hero and trying to do the right thing and put down that voice inside that keeps saying, hey, we're not alive right now. So I just I surrendered my life one day in bed. I just thought, okay, I can't. I tried to be the hero. I think I did everything I could. I gave it all. And I'm physically dying. So I don't want to physically die anymore. And I don't want every day to be such a painful struggle.
Welcome, Olga. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us today on Life, Death, and Beyond.
Thank you, Laura. It's nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. So you had two near-death experiences. So a lot of people just have one, but you had two. And then you've had a lot of different spiritual experiences. Would you mind taking us through the two near-death experiences and when they were?
Yes. So the first near-death experience was at 16 years old, and the second one was at 33. So at 16 years old, I was on a motorbike, um, and I was a teenager that was very, very anxious and concerned about getting a lot of education and becoming very successful and having to do many, many, many things. Like, oh, I have to get married, I have to have kids, I have to get at least two PhDs, I have to um, become a gymnast or something. I have to learn at least three classical instruments. I need to be able to garden by myself, grow my own food. I need to, and the list was huge. And I was just, you know how people say, "Oh, I'm crying myself to sleep every night." I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't crying myself to sleep every night. I was anxietying myself to sleep every night. I just panicked myself into a sleep situation. So it wasn't a really good place. Um, and I did like a wrong thing, which is where I went to another city with like a handsome boy, and I wasn't supposed to go there. I was 16. And of course, I didn't wear a helmet because we decided to go on motorbikes. I don't know why. Things happen when you're a teenager, and I thought I was really smart and didn't wear a helmet. And then, um, at the first street light, 1 minute, less than 1 minute of driving, um, we just flew up in the air. So like he stopped the motorbike like this, bam, the first wheel. I don't drive because I had this accident, so I never learned how to drive. So he stopped the first wheel very, very sharply, and the whole motorbike went like up, like jumped up.
Oh,
And I had two friends who were on the second one, and they told me what happened because, well, I already was out of it. My friends told me what happened. They said like my body just kind of flew up and it was flying around like a doll. They said like you don't have a use of your hands and arms and legs and everything, and you just flew around like a doll and then plopped on the ground. So that was from their perspective. And then there was like a pool of blood. And then they thought that she's gone. And because the amount of blood was just huge. But from my perspective, it was different. From my perspective, I I kind of just realized that something terrible is going to happen. So I panicked a lot inside of me, but also there was this knowing that, yeah, this is going to happen and you can't get out of it. And I feel like that was already my guides because there's just a huge knowing, like an undeniable knowing. And so I quickly said to myself and to them, like, I don't want to feel it. So it was funny how it was immediately given to me that experience of I don't want to feel it. It was like a old TV, uh, the round TV. When you shut it down, it goes like pew, pip, like a white light that goes pip, and everything's gone nicely. There's no sound, there is no feeling, there is no nothing. And I remember the white dot was there for a little bit. I think it was actually distracting me because I started to get curious and even was laughing inside of myself how funny this is. That, like I can just turn it off. And I remember being thinking like it was kind of funny. And during that time that I was thinking, I guess the whole thing was happening. And then, um, well, my friends got me on a truck, and there was a nice person and took us to the hospital. And I didn't feel any of that, even though they said that I was running around in a shock. I was trying to jump off the truck, and
Oh,
I was
wow.
really strong, and I was fighting them, and they were fighting me to sit in the truck. I don't remember any of that because I wasn't just some. Well, today at that time I didn't know the name for it, but today I know the name for it. It's just the blackness, like the void, the nothingness, and the everythingness. And I remember that it felt, first of all, it just felt liberating. It was just like that black TV. And I like the black background behind you because that's liberating. Um, and the wings, which feels like liberation. So it actually felt like what you have in the background there, the black space and wings, because it feels
Beautiful.
liberating. And there was a very weird thing that happened because there was a play in of time in my experience. Um, on the one hand, it felt like I was in the void. And the first thing that I just felt, it was just like it was, first of all, it was infinite. And I felt like I could see little stars, but they were so far, I didn't really care what they were. I just knew that if I wanted to, I could go and explore. And if I don't want to, I can stay here. And I'm absolutely perfectly fine and whole and complete right here and now. I don't need to go anywhere and do anything. It's like so different from the humanness we have that I'm not enough. I have to go and do something to prove that I'm enough or to prove that I've done something. Over there, it was just, um, I feel like the fact that it was infinite and the fact that there was no time, you have this freedom of potentialities. Like I have the ability and an eternity to do whatever I want, taking a taking a very slow time to do that, taking forever to do anything tiny, just enjoying myself. And another thing that I felt was the amazingness of feeling in all directions, which is different from the physical here, where we have two eyeballs and we're looking at, which is funny because later on my guides, when I work with my guides a lot now, they gave me this exercise of, remember, you have perception in all directions. You don't, just because you have eyeballs here and your ears are here, when we have our psychic spiritual experiences with practice, if you're capable of doing that, we still kind of get used to it, and we still tend to have these spiritual experiences and psychic perception looking directly forward. But I remember like getting a tap on my shoulder from my guys. They're like, "Psh, you don't have to only look forward." They're like, you can open up and you can look in any direction. And I remember that exercise was so difficult. But anyway, that was years ahead. It's just a reminder that we can feel and sense in all directions. And I remember that was already liberating and peaceful. And it's kind of like I didn't want to go anywhere else. I was perfectly fine just staying there forever, and I never wanted to go anywhere else. yet knowing that I could. I think I was still shocked from from the life where nothing was enough. Nothing was enough. So I just took time to go like, no, I have forever. And and then something weird happened that I only understood with years. So my guides asked me a bunch of questions. And my guides, I don't mean that they came to me looking like human beings or looking like anything. I just felt their presence. Um, like I feel like more important than how they look like or what they sound like is the absolute knowing that they have my best intentions in their heart. That is the number one kind of signature, I would say, of a guide or I would say even anybody you talk to, like check in into the signature of what do they want.
Mm.
Well, now I learned that I'm 41 now, so I keep jumping forward what I learned now because that looks like a like a childish experience, but it's so cute. And yeah, it was absolutely necessary. I do feel that it was planned by me, but at that time I had no idea. I thought that all these things are happening to me. Like sometimes I thought someone chose to, chose me or something, or chose to do these things to me, which again comes from that perception of not enough. Like I want to be special. I'm not enough. I'm never enough. Um, so the weird thing that happened that now I understand, that's why I'm sharing these things now, because before I couldn't probably share it. Um, so I used this thing to explain the situation. I created I used to be a children's school teacher, so I have props like this for adults. Um, yeah, so I just drew these years, right? Like this is 16 years old, and I drew this blob, which is the void, the accident. Um, and this is my second near-death experience at 33. And at 2 years old, I also have an experience where it's like the first memory I have, which is when I remembered my first past life. And it's my first memory as Olga, actually. That's when I decided to be Olga. I knew that was an experience like that. So then there was a huge bunch of spiritual experiences in between the two near-death experiences. But I just wrote 17 and 18 years old because this paper would go forever. So what happened was, if I'm going to do that, what happened, so I'm gonna put the pencil in the 16 years old hole. Where is it? Okay, I'm just gonna put it through all the way. So it's like this. This is the black void. This is how I can explain psychic internet, the black void and all of these non-physical experiences. So at 16, the big blob, somehow my guides asked like time and space collapsed and it just went like that. And okay, like that. So at 18 and at 17 inside, I had an experience of learning about the Akashic records, which I also felt like, oh, thank you, somebody gave it to me, this experience. Later, I realized I gave it to myself. But at that time, I thought someone decided to teach me. So at 16, in the void, my guides asked me a question based on my Akashic Records experience, which I got when I was 2 years later, 17 or 8. I don't remember. I'm really bad with time because I'm always jumping. So I really can't tell the time so very well. But I know that it was about 1 or 2 years maybe after the accident, the Akashic Records experience. So my guides were asking me questions based on something I experienced in the future,
Oh,
like 1.5 years in the future. Um, but they asked me in the void, in the nothingness. And as I
Mm-hmm.
understand it, the void is like this place, timeless and placeless space where you do kind of travel through time and space and you have everything. And then it does connect to the 2 years old and to the 33 years old, all of the spiritual experiences. And it connects to other past lifetimes as well and everything that is in between. That is the later I realized. But at that time, my guides asked me questions based on what I learned 1.5 years or 2 years afterwards. And that was mind-boggling for me. uh, and the questions, they asked me a guiding questions to help me liberate myself more from my anxiety and life full of anxiety. Um, and I gotta show this picture then. So um, this is a picture I use for many, many purposes. um, so this is kind of my life. And these are all the things that I told you I want to do. PhDs, garden, marriage, children, uh, car, house, this, that, classical instruments, everything, right? So I thought if I do all that, I'm gonna I'm gonna get something magnificent and fantastic. I'm going to feel like the meaning and purpose of life. I will feel happy and everything. I thought, but I need to do this first. Now it looks like an eggshell, like this is the outside eggshell, and I'm trying to get to the meaning outside in, outside in.
Mm-hmm.
So they were popping every one of these bubbles with the guiding questions they asked me, based on the future experience of the Akashic records. And it's not only, it wasn't only Akashic records, it was like, it was also the light of everything, which I may share later, where you get to that state where all of your questions are answered. But once you get to the human place again, you forget the details. I forgot all the details, but I remember the knowing that I had access to everything and I can always get to the access of everything, of every question they ever have. So then they asked me the question, Olga, do you think you came to this earth to be Olga so that you can get a PhD in something? Because the future experience of the light of everything, where everything is answered, everything you ever ask has an answer. And it doesn't just have an answer. It has an answer much better than you thought you were expecting. I can see you nodding because you felt probably that, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and it's just like every curiosity you can possibly have, you can satisfy always much deeper and better. And it's like an orgasm that just always expands. It never stops. It always just expands. So that was about knowledge. And they said, do you think you came here to get like two PhDs to learn facts? Yeah. The, so from that magnificent space of everything, that you can have everything immediately in no time, you came here to learn facts. They asked me, they didn't ask me in the way I'm asking right now, but they said, do you think you came here to do that? And I was like, no, because the facts on this in this life, physical life, feel like such a tiny little fraction, a speck compared to all the knowledge that not only you and me, the people who do this kind of work, all of us have constant access to before we were born, now and always. We all have it. We all have access to it. So they said, do you think you came here for education? And I was like, oh no. And then these two bubbles popped, like the two PhDs I wanted to get, at least two. So pop. And I don't want to say something bad about education or like, ooh, don't go get an education. No. Um, it's different. Don't use it to get to expect that you're gonna feel amazing. Um, I feel like the if you follow your heart and to want to feel amazing, that may look like PhDs for you and education for you as a manifestation. But going from the outside in, get your education so that you can feel good in the future. No. So they just pop these bubbles. They're like, nope. And then they asked me another question, which was, it was about connection. So through that experience of the Akashic Records and the light of everything and the love, the incredible love and the connection of souls, after I felt that in the future as a 17, 19-year-old, they asked me when I was 16 years old in the void, do you think you came here to fall in love and make a family and have a connection? They referred to that connection. Do you think you came here to get married and have children and, create friends? Um, do you think you came to be born as Olga for that purpose? When we already have infinite connection with everybody on the deepest possible levels. And I felt these bubbles popping more. Bum, bum, bum. Like, no, I didn't come here. And it's not like I'm saying that, oh, marriage is overrated or children are overrated or whatever. Again, not going from outside in to experience beautiful life. I was trying to get, oh, let's get married, let's have children, let's have magnificent many friends so that I can feel fantastic. No, opposite. But that was my lesson. And then they asked me different questions, like again about the music and about this and about that, because they took me to this place where I had everything in the future at 17, 18. And they said, do you think you came here to do that, to get the fraction of what you already have? And all these bubbles were popped. I'm like, no, I didn't come for like any of that. I didn't come for any of that. Why would I come here for any of that if I already have everything and to the infinite extent? So I felt even more liberated after I had some rest in that darkness and remembered that I don't have to do anything. Even more liberation thanks to these questions. And I was 16. My brain didn't really, I felt a magnificent feeling. But now that I look back at it, at 16, I understood that all these goals of mine were popped, but I didn't really understand the main lesson, which I learned later. Don't do life from outside in. Why don't you do life from inside out? Like do what feels alive in you and good in you, like shine it outwards, and then whatever, however it's gonna manifest. Maybe you're gonna live in a cabin in the woods. I don't know, but that's your perfect house, or maybe you're gonna get, I don't know, however your life is gonna turn out looking, I don't know, but that's it, go from the inside out. And so my guides were pointing to, why don't you just go to the inside out? But I remember, like, as a teenager, I remember when I went back to my mental space, I kind of I missed some of it because I was a teenager, I feel. My mental understanding of life wasn't as it is today. So even though I felt liberated, I kind of easily got caught up with life again and with everything that's happening around me and the parents and the pressure and that you have to do this and you have to do this and where's your education and where's this and how many languages do you know? How many instruments do you play? How many? So it was very easy for me to get back into that stress again. And even though I had a knowing that this is wrong, I don't want to do it, I still kept doing it because, well, I don't know. I didn't become enlightened, and I just, or whatever you call it, I couldn't follow the advice because I think, karma is sticky. It's very sticky. So I just continued life outside in, outside in, outside in, got a job, did everything right. I was an A student, super nerdy person. Everything is always perfect. But I was dying a little bit every day. Especially, I think maybe if I didn't have the near-death experience, I probably wouldn't be, maybe I wouldn't even feel that I was dying. I would just be going forward. Um, but with the near-death experience where I was taught these things, I uh, I had this knowing, which was really like a black hole in the middle of me, in that center where it's supposed to be bright. I had a black hole, and I think many people live like that. But
Mhm.
anyway, I only can speak for myself. I don't want to generalize.
Yeah. Yeah, everything that you just said is so important. That was before my near-death experience. I went through the dark night of the soul, very similar to you, but I think for me, and I love that you say you were dying little by little because, like, I felt like the light went out in me, and I call it soul wrenching, which made me surrender my life. And then I had the near-death experience. So I was waking up, like you said, in all those little bubbles. I was waking up inside all of those little bubbles. I wish they would have just told me that, like in your experience. But I got married, I had a car, kids, and I woke up in it and it was like this awareness came in. It's like, what is this about? What was the purpose of that? And then I got to the point where well, if this is the purpose of life, then it doesn't make sense, right? So it's much more deeper than that. But a lot of us tend to live in the, I got to get the car, I got to get the house, I got to get degrees. And, I've been through that, you know. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's really important, I think, for people who watch this as a takeaway.
Yeah, I like when you said degrees. I keep my degrees in a folder this thick. Degree, whatever I have certificate. I took them out from all of their frames, and you know where they are right now? They're under my mattress in in my bed, and I don't use them. Yeah, and again, it's not to say that let's just say goodbye to degree and education and family and cars and houses, but we're going at it from the wrong direction, like from dry. Oh, let's create it, let's draw the right picture, and let's hope that our soul's gonna come in there and live happily ever after. But it doesn't really work like that. And which brings me to the second near-death experience. I like how you said surrendered my life. It's a very kind kind way of saying it, so I'm going to use the same word. I don't know if that's what you mean, but I went towards about 33 years old I was. I don't remember. I'm very bad with time because I'm always in the doing the spiritual work, and I'm
Mhm.
always flying around in direct dimensions or realms or whatever times and lifetimes, that my sense of time is horrible. It's okay. So yeah, about 33 years old, I was just dying, 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 dying slowly, but I did everything right. And I was just thinking, oh, I need to take care of my parents. They're getting older and I need to save money. And I was just a walking zombie or a skeleton or a mummy, or however you want to look at it. All my life was drained out of me. And I was physically sick too. I had migraines, vertigo, nausea, and just I was always almost dying. Like this, seriously, I was walking, I had to hold on to walls, and I couldn't. It's just I I felt like I was trying to be a hero, which is my kind of karmic theme that I've been working with. Trying to be a hero and trying to do the right thing, and put down that voice inside that keeps saying, "Hey, we're not alive right now," you know? So I just kind of gave, yeah, I surrendered my life one day in bed. I just thought, okay, I can't. I tried to be the hero. I think I did everything I could. I gave it all. I and I'm physically dying. So I don't want to physically die anymore. And I don't want every day to be such a painful struggle. I gave it my all. I'm gonna die hero's death kind of thing in the battlefield. Um, so sparing the details because I don't think it's necessary. I kind of in my bed on that day when I did something to end it. I I felt like there was an interesting moment where there was just a lot of swimming around of my brain, which was so much in pain from constant migraines and constant nausea and vertigo and everything, and all that horrible feeling. And then suddenly there was like a slip of realities or consciousness. I don't know, but it went like this, whip, like this. And I felt like I jumped from this terrible place to this higher place, but it was very, very clear. Like suddenly I feel healthy like that. Like suddenly I feel like I have energy, my brain, my mental capacities are fine, everything's fine, everything's clear, and there's my guides again. They're always kind of in the back, right, like this, somewhere here, and they are saying to me, and they didn't they of course they don't say anything. It's like a, what do you call it? We try to translate psychic perception, but it's our words that cover the actual communication, as you probably know. So I felt their relationship to me, rather. This was what they were communicating. It was their relationship to me. And their relationship to me, what they think of me, is they were, they had utmost deep respect, love, admiration, um, no judgment. And and when I say no judgment, it's not like, oh, it's okay, compassion. Oh, it's okay. Not like that at all, even. It's admiration. I would say like they really respected me and loved me, and they were curious what I'm going to do also. Like, what do you want? What do you want? Well, we can, tell us, we can help you. And they told me very calmly, or let me know, and not in words. They said, okay, this, we see where you're going with this, what you're doing right now. And they said that this can be your exit point. We can remove you from here. And they showed me like removing of soul from body. It looks like that, like this. And they said we can do it, but before we do it, we need to do some preparations. And I felt like they're supposed to bring something towards me that would help the removal of my soul from my body. And also they needed something that felt like administrative work, which is like the signatures of like, I accept, I agree, I want, yes. And so they said, okay, well, we're going to need some time to do some prep work, but we're going to do it, but we need you to do something first. And they said, we need you to look over here. And they pointed with some kind of light, and it went like shining here in my heart, not in the physical heart, in some kind of center of me, um, like a golden light. And they said, we need you to look over there. It's a tiny little dot. Go check with yourself. And they pointed and they said, see, just check, double check that this is what you want. Or what do you want? And they said, and then you're going to tell us, and then we're going to go with the process, but we need you to do it first. It's like getting a signature or something. And I said, I I was blown away, first of all, just by the relationship. Like I thought that they would start uh booing me. Um like, oh, you couldn't handle it, you failed, you Or like a fifth grade teacher, in at least in my experience, the grade teachers, they like to say something like, "Oh, is that what you want?" You know, but but they have like a background message of like, "You're stupid." Well, at least a long time ago, I had teachers like that. So I was expecting them to say something like that, that I'm doing the wrong thing, and I was going to say, yes, I wanted because I wanted to give up heroically, and and but their relationship just changed everything. They love me no matter what. They love me no matter what my choices. So, and I didn't know this place in my heart. I had no idea. I was like, what is this? So I went, and at that time it was easy because I was in that clear state. I wouldn't say that it's easy right now for me. I need to actually try harder to get to that place, which is a big practice of mine. But at that time it was easy. So I just jumped there directly and I asked, "Hey, me, the golden light here, like, what do you want?" What do you want? I need your signature, you know? And and suddenly that light, it felt that I was talking to it, and it reacted. Um, it reacted by like, "Oh, you see me, you know? Oh, you see me. I can talk now. You want me to talk? Okay, I'll talk." And what it did was it didn't just talk. I feel like it was being suppressed for such a long time. It was just pushing and pushing and pushing. And finally, I'm like, "Oh, you're here." And it just went like a huge explosion of golden light, and it went in all directions from my heart like this. And I felt like, it looks like a sun that you draw very like with rays. So I felt like there were rays that came out, and each ray was a deep desire that I had and never knew or connected to. And one of these desires was actually to have a relationship with a man, like a romantic relationship. It didn't say marriage or something like that. That's the beautiful thing. It doesn't put labels on it. It just said, I want a honest and good, satisfying relationship with a person, like another man, not platonic relationship. No underwater stones, no nothing, no abusive stuff, nothing dark there. I just want to experience a fantastic relationship with a great person romantically. And that was one of the rays. And it was just so honest and true. And I just felt like, yes, I want that, but I never allowed myself to feel it, to even ask myself that, because, yeah, because I was taught what you should be doing and not what you want to do ever. So that was one of the rays. Another ray was, I want to move out of here. I don't want to live here anymore. I want to move out of this whole place. I wanted to change my friends. I wanted to leave I had a life of addictions as well, because I used addiction to suppress that voice in my head, in my heart, whatever, head, heart, everywhere. Um, I used it to become a robot that worked very well, that functioned but was dying. So I said, I want to quit. I want to be done with all my addictions. And then there was another thing, which was I want to know what I truly love to do, because what I was doing wasn't connecting with me. I want to know what I love to do in life, and then I actually want to do it for a living. So these were rays, and I just screamed them outwards from my heart. And some kind of liberation again happened. And then I told my guides, I screamed at them. I didn't tell them. I screamed at them. I want this. I want this. I want to live. I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this. This is what I want. I don't want to die. I want everything. And and then they looked at me. They're like, "Oh, okay." It's like it was that easy always or something. They they just I had a feeling like they put a picture of a waiter that is very fancy, like wearing a tuxedo with a leather-bound menu and like very fancy restaurant. And they kind of wrote it down. Oh, okay. One relationship coming up, one job that you love coming up, one moving coming up, one releasing of addictions coming up. And they're like, oh, okay, okay. And then the conversation just stopped, and I kind of blacked out, and I woke up the next day. But I feel this was my absolute real life miracle, because about throughout the year, I met the person I married, and it wasn't necessary. The marriage isn't necessary, but I have a relationship. Like I met the person, I moved away, moved away from that place. I quit my job that I didn't like. I didn't connect to. I the addictions that I had, I didn't have withdrawals. That's the craziness. You know, you're gonna have withdrawal, but
Right.
I had no withdrawals because I was so in love with this person. I was so in love with my life. I was so in love with being excited, moving to a new place, to a new country, to start a complete turnaround for different friends, no more friends who helped me to push my voices down. Um, I felt like it was a year or two of miracles in the happening, because everything I asked for happened. But the last two rays took the longest, which was I was finding out what do I love to do. So I found my shamanism teachers, and I learned to do my spiritual work and all that, which took many years. It didn't happen like this. It's not like meeting the person, but it takes years of study. And finally, now I'm doing it for a living. So that was my second near-death experience. And I love helping people and working on it myself still, connecting to this golden dot. And it's not really a dot. It was a dot, but now I see it more like a spring, like a geyser, but like a gentle spring. If you actually allow it to speak and you actually have a relationship with it, actually talk to it, it is not a little, tiny little dot. So if you're looking for a dot, maybe it doesn't look like a dot. If you have a better relationship with it, it's probably better looking than a dot. No judgment for
Beautiful.
dots.
Beautiful. Are they, I know you put the pencil through the paper. It's almost like both of your near-death experiences were almost like a continuation. Because the other one was like, okay, what don't I want? And now the other one is like, what do I want? When you kind of look at it, from my perspective anyway, as you're talking about it, that's kind of what I was taken away from it, because in the first one, they were kind of showing you have to come from within to what you really want, not what you're supposed to do. And then your other one was more about what do you want, taking a look at it. So does that make sense? Is that how you look at it?
So I went back to both directions, because it also had to do with the memory of my one of my past lives that I remembered when I was 2 years old, which was also like a person who was kind of heroic and trying to do the right thing and the strong thing, which just carried the same, like I'm still the same person as that person who died a long time ago. I'm still the same person. Karma is sticky. So I was still the same person, and flying through, even at 16, you'd think that when they told me this, when I had this experience, you'd think that I changed my life. But I realized something about psychic perception, actually. Um, Before, when I was, and also age matters. Age matters. Your mental capacities as a child, at least mine were in such a way that when I came back to my everyday life, it did, I couldn't follow it, I couldn't follow the messages. Even though from 2 years old, I knew that I chose to be Olga, even though I've been a man before, who died. I always knew that this human face is not really the complete me. It's a temporary me, and I came here for a purpose to help resolve the pain that I felt of that other lifetime, that man. So even at school, I would be looking at the mirror and for example, like when all the kids would leave the bathroom and I'm alone, I would look at the mirror and I would be like touching my skin like this, like who is inside, like who am I and why did I come here? Because I always remember that past life experience. And I was thinking, what I'm supposed to do here? I know I'm supposed to help me, but I don't know how. So, why am I saying this? With all these spiritual experiences, I thought before when I was younger that psychic perception means you see ghosts or you see a message or you see or you hear words or something like that. Or you can have or you can go to a different realm even and experience a different realm. I thought that that was psychic perception. But with years, I realized that psych, or at least for me, I changed my definition of psychic perception to like there being layers of it. It's not just you being able to see passed away people or travel realms and talk to elementals and dragons and whatever you like. It's not just that. It's it's actually a deep understanding and embodiment in this physical human life of all that stuff that you have access to. We all have access to it, but do we embody it here now? So when I was 16, when I got all this information, I did not embody it did not embody it. After 33, I started to embody it. Now I'm 41. I'm just realizing that I'm kind of getting to a level 1 or something of embodying it, feeling it. I don't know how to explain it, but with every one of my cells, I embody and like that knowing of things that we all have access to, that great abundance of everything, of love, connection, meaning, purpose, love. Um, Not just, oh, I felt this experience, it was amazing and liberating, but then I go back to doing the same thing again. That for me is not embodiment. The embodiment is when every day you do something a little bit different and it just I really feel it in my cells. Like I don't know, like tingling or like breathing. Like every cell of my body every day, if I do this kind of work, is becoming a little bit more alive. And it's opposite to the previous 15 or how many years of my life where I died a little bit, I died a little bit every day. Now is the opposite. I am a little bit more alive every day. So yeah, that's how I can explain it. And also it's all connected to other lifetimes. So this is just one lifetime that I remembered, but when I started working with my teachers with shamanism, I remembered more lifetimes. And also after 16 years old, I also remembered other lifetimes. And all of these lifetimes connect like a big flower. Sometimes I see it as a lotus, and I am the lotus, and every petal is a lifetime of mine or an experience. It doesn't have to be a physical human lifetime. It can be in between, or it can be a lifetime, not as a human, whatever in the world. And I feel like my flower is actually closing. And when it's closing, the petals are touching each other. And first, the petals from the bottom are touching each other. And I feel like it's some kind of touching through time and space of these two opposite experiences of this and this in two different me's or something. Um, and separated by time, like a young me, a baby me, a 2-year-old me, and a 41-year-old me. Okay. Suddenly like my flower is closing and it's touching like this. I know closing sounds sad or dying or something, but I feel like it's like a reuniting with myself. reconnecting with myself. When two petals touch, there's like a golden point that goes shining, like a glowing, because now I understand myself a little bit more through time and space. And there are other petals that are lifetimes that are not only this, and they are, and they, this golden light gives more kind of power or boost and joy. I would say joy. Yeah, joy and meaning and desire, extra desire to keep closing. And then there's like other petals are touching. And I feel like there are many petals that are not touching, like out there. They are still far away and there's still my life to live. But it's something that feels like looking forward to. It's like, wow, I'm going to make this connection and it will close and it will go boom, like shine, and it will connect to all the shining that already is here from previous petals. And again, it will give this new, it's like that never-ending orgasm that just keeps growing. But I feel like at some point, maybe I have no idea, but I feel like it's going to close and it will be like I'm reunited completely with myself. And I don't know if that's going to happen this lifetime or other lifetimes. And honestly, I don't care because it feels good. I can have 10 more lifetimes of doing that. But I don't want to be dying anymore. I just want to be doing this beautiful reconnection.
That's
So
beautiful.
I,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It was funny because yesterday, I know in your second near-death experience where you're talking, it was like the sun. Yesterday, I wrote the sun with the face and then like all these shooting out lines. And I was like, so interesting that like you just said that. So I was like, okay. But now with the near-death experience, you were talking about it was almost like administrative signing off signatures that had to be done. Now I know from my experience and other people's experiences, we choose to come in, we make all our soul agreements, things like that. Was that what was happening? They were like you had to check off and agree, and other people had to agree, and they had to make sure because when we make those agreements with our people, we're expecting them to show up, and if you leave the life, then that has to be changed.
At that time, I was just shown that there was a bunch of paperwork there that they were gonna have to work on. But I didn't look at the paperwork and like I think I didn't care. I didn't care. Um, maybe that was, yeah, maybe that was, but at the yeah, I think that they didn't go too far because they knew that if they were, it was almost like they knew that if they're gonna ask me this question, I will explode in the desire to live. So there was kind of no need to go very deep into, well, do you really want to leave? They knew. They just in a very artistic and loving, guiding way, not manipulative way, just asked me. So I feel like whatever that was, yeah, it could have been, but I didn't care and they didn't show it to me.
Okay. Yeah. They're
Because
very good
they
at
knew the answer.
they're very good at shifting our mindset, to help us to want to come back, help us to want to finish, and do the things that we're supposed to do. And I know a lot of near-death experiencers will say, well, I was forced to come back. But we don't always have access to everything, or maybe, they helped us to change our minds or to look at it differently, to see different outcomes, if we didn't come back. So I think that's part of their role. As being guides, to help us.
Yes, and I love how they do it in a non-manipulative way. You really need to know the art of like, here's this, you know? Uh, but when you say people say that they've been forced. Actually, like when I was 16 and I came back to the hospital where they were fixing me, I had a lot of like broken ribs, fractured ribs, just a lot of stuff. I woke up in a hospital and I remember like I didn't want to come back. I loved the fact that I don't have to do anything. And I felt liberated and I was like, I didn't come here to do this, so I don't want to be here. I want liberation. I want freedom. I want peace and rest. I don't want to come here. Um, but I felt like they were throwing me into this body, which I felt was like 5 sacks. I call them 5 potato sacks because they felt very dirty. They felt very dirty, and if you take a potato sack, can you see anything through it? Almost nothing. You can see just a little bit of light. Like a canvas bag. So, like, I felt like they were throwing me 5 times, like into 5 potatoes. First, they threw me into one potato sack, and instead of being able to see everything with all, like, in all directions, I like the first sense that woke up was eyesight for me in the hospital, and it felt like a curse. It felt like a curse. Over here, we say that, ah, having eyes is great, having a sight is great, but it felt like a curse to me because no, the eyesight we have here is so limited to how much we have sight non-physically. So anyway, they threw me 5 times, and I felt like there were 5 potato sacks, one inside of each other, and they were all dirty. Later on, I felt like the metaphor was saying dirty means karma, my karma, that was making it even worse. I can't see anything. So I was really screaming at them. I didn't want to come back. I thought I was pleading with them, and I was screaming at them, and then they said, "Look, you've got to do something here." And I got this knowing or remembrance that you tried to do it in other lifetimes too, this thing that you came here to do, but you couldn't. You didn't. And that's why you came here again to do it now. And they said, if you don't do it now, you will come back again. So they're like, and it sounds bad, but I don't know. Well, I was very angry at them, and then there was depression and all that. And even in the memory of the warrior old man me, like a long time, another lifetime that I remembered as a kid, he didn't want to die. He was like forced to die by me also, by my soul, by like a higher level of me. And I've been struggling with that a lot. Like, why do we feel forced? First, I didn't want to die. Here, I don't want to be back in life. Who is this person, me, who's always doing the opposite that I want? So through all the work that I do recently, the past 7 years, time is weird. So yeah, recently, I started to like get the reconnection with my, you can call it higher self or whatever it is, the administrator, the programmer of me. And I started to understand why I overrode his decision because he was begging to be back alive. And I overrode his decision with my like veto power or something because I have more. I can call it soul standing. This is what my teachers call it, soul standing, or like more authority or a knowing. And I just vetoed it. And I thought that I was quite a terrible someone to do that. And now that I can feel more of that of me, I understood why I did that. I understood that he wanted to do more of what he was doing, but he thought he was going to do it better. But he didn't understand anything. He didn't understand the issue, the problem, why he was having this pain. He was going to get into more trouble, but he was going to do it on a bigger scale. So what my soul did was actually prevented more pain. That's why my soul overrode his decision. So actually, it wasn't that we are being forced, but we have different levels and layers of consciousness, like you mentioned, from which we make these decisions. And some of our layers don't understand, and we think we're being forced, but we're not. We're not. We're not.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like we don't always come back remembering everything from our experience. And depending on where we are, kind of like you were saying, we only interpret it from where we are on our journey. If we're younger, we may not have the understanding until later. Like when I look back on my experience, it makes more sense now what happened, and I can put the pieces together versus at that time when it actually happened. So I think it's an unfolding, of our journey, and it helps us to understand a little bit more. When you were in the void, did you recognize if you had a body, or were you more like a consciousness, just an awareness?
Like a invisible orb, I would say.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And when I went into the void, it was like they told me I had to drop my senses, which makes sense with what you're saying. And then once I did, I was able to move more into the light and go to the other side. But like in that darkness, it was like I was just existing, like I was just there. And I could have stayed there for like ever myself. We do have a little bit more time here. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on? And I know you wanted to kind of do a little bit of a demonstration as well.
Yes, I come bearing gifts. I do have something. So I wanted to do a demonstration of a little bit of what I do in my sessions, which is I talk to your soul and your guides. And usually I would get a question or a topic, like an inquiry, a request from the person. Oh, I'd like you to look into my issue of this and that. Why am I having this issue of this that feels whatever, or like a curiosity of why do I have this pattern in my life, or something like that. So, because I didn't have a question from you specifically that you asked me, I was going to ask, oh, can you please, share with me whatever is relevant that you want Laura to hear, right now, or to get information or clarity about. And Laura, like you came in, I have this, so sorry, just a second. Yeah. So you came in looking and feeling like this drawing. And I don't feel that it's like the whole of you, but it's like the part of you that presented itself to me. You looked like a movement of energy from top to bottom like this, and like waves going out, and it felt so relaxing. I actually felt like your maybe what you do for people, because it was going like this. It was like washing me with like a relief, And I felt it like a healing in my throat, like a shower of healing from my throat down through my heart, down through my stomach, and it just went. And I was just sitting there for 5 minutes loving that what you like your what you had to offer, or your gift. And I was like, wow. It felt amazing. So usually I would when I talk to souls, I kind of see an image or something like that, like, so that feels like a part of people's nature. I don't feel like the whole of you, but maybe what you're expressing in this lifetime as Laura, at least, or could be more. Anyway, so you came up like this, and and I said to you, okay, well, I don't have a topic from you, but what would you like to say? And then you asked me a question. You said, well, we're going to be talking about this, sharing with people this conversation. What is your intention? Yes, because I asked you, what is your kind of like intention? What do you want to talk about? And you said, what do you want to talk about in this talk? And you asked me, what are your intentions? Your guides also asked me, what are your intentions for this conversation? And I showed you, which I didn't know too, but I felt it, like I opened my arms so wide, and I created like a sphere of love, and it was like behind me there was pain and suffering and darkness, but I created this sphere where inside something pink was happening, like a peeling away of layers with love and healing are in the sphere. And I said, this is my intention for talking to you, to Laura, physically. And you guys, because you and your guys, you guys were like, okay. And they said, then what we want to talk about is also my intention, Laura's intention, Laura's message. So they said what we're going to do is we're going to present here our message of the two of us together, like a combined message. When Olga and Laura talk together, we're going to present to you the message that both of us want to share to people. And I saw it, like, at first you showed me a visual of, like, this is a lamp shade, but also it felt like a UFO. It had many images. It also looks like an eye of illumination. Like, this is the illumination, and this is an eye. Also, it looks like a classical UFO coming from above and shining downwards. And it felt very similar to, oh, that's a different story. That's a ghost. Um, it felt very similar to this, but that shining of the light, like a lampshade, you're like, this is what I want, this is what my message is. And then I guess they knew that I like to talk a little bit too much. That's why your soul came up with a poem. Okay, so I'm going to read it. A poem is a great way to say a lot of things in a short amount of time and space. Okay, so um, I'm just going to read it. The time has come to look inside and be illuminated from inside by lights and colors never seen as ours, and be pleasantly surprised by lights that are available to us from home, and dust that never lasts, ubiquitous to all who never sleep, as those are eyes and ears that weep for all of us, as fear does. Relinquish power from within, so it's not seen by us or many. And having trust is medicine we bring to this here planet, man, machine. I rest and close my eyes, so darkness dreams of me, not I. And to the darkest soul of all, I veto power from the whole. I let it rest along my side, never to breathe a word or sigh. Pretenses of the ages that won't come, as I am here by your side, embracing arm in arm. We yet shall see the quicksands of tomorrow that will engulf the darkness and the sorrow within our hearts and never lie to either you nor I.
That's beautiful.
Yes. And then you showed me the same message using three metaphors. So you were showing me someone tearing off bandages from themselves. And there was this expectation of there's going to be a lot of pain. If I'm going to tear off bandages, I'm going to have to deal with the darkness that I didn't heal or didn't work with or something like that. And instead, I saw like a white bed sheet or tablecloth being like this, um, shaken, like a message that says you're expecting healing to be so painful, but it doesn't have to be. That, like, with that metaphor of white tablecloth, it's like fresh blank page, or I don't know, not fresh, just like it can be quite liberating. It doesn't have to be painful for the people who expect healing to be painful. Um, and then you were showing me someone's legs of a very, very tired person, and who couldn't really walk anymore. And again, there was this expectation of, "Ah, I'm going to have to walk more, and I'm going to have to walk more." and I'm so tired, I can't do it anymore, but I have to walk more. And then I saw those legs being in water, being submerged in water that was quite salty. And then suddenly those legs were feeling tingly and light, and like a release of pressure. And suddenly like those legs were kind of floating up in the salty water and feeling like, oh, a release of, I was expecting more walking and more hardship, but actually I now find myself in salty water that's healing, and I feel a release, and I realize I didn't have to be so hard. It was a second metaphor that sent the same message, and then there was a third metaphor that sent the same message. It was a snake. It was a classroom, and there were many people sitting on chairs, and there was a small green snake going on the floor between the chairs. And my expectation was that, oh, a young green snake, somehow I was expecting is going to bite someone and it's going to poison someone. And I have a green snake in the
Oh
here in the
yeah.
picture. That's the image of the cover of my book. Anyway, but as the metaphor, as you were continuing to show it to me, you're like, no, and the snake's not gonna poison anyone, but the snake brings a gift of venom, which is medicine. And you were showing that we're not in the stage of being bitten right now and being poisoned. We're in the stage of receiving the medicine of the venom and the wisdom and the healing. So again, with the like, it's actually the unfolding now. So again, with the third metaphor, you sent the same message, which was you expect things to be harder, but it doesn't have to be. If you kind of like, if you go for it, it doesn't have to be. So then I stopped there because I was like, okay, normally if a soul sends me three messages, three images, stories which carried the same message, then I understand. And your soul showed me a big screw being driven down, and you're like, we drove down the message, like we screwed down the message, that is the message. And then I heard from illumination from within, and you showed me clouds parting, and you said history unseen. So I felt like there's some kind of stuff that you offer, which is illuminating and also liberating, and it's something that we did not expect, but when we receive it, it's liberating and feeling nice and light.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. And definitely a great message out there. And it may be the energy that I bring in and to help others with what I do. On a whole collective, we're all going through a big transition. We're all awakening. Things are uprising, from the shadows, from the darkness, so we can kind of see and have the awareness. So it's very, it aligns definitely. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
so much
welcome.
for this beautiful conversation, which I enjoyed.
You're welcome. And if somebody wanted to book a session with you, where can they find you?
They can write me at expansionscapes@gmail.com. I have also an Etsy shop called Expansionscapes. I have a YouTube channel called Expansionscapes. It's always expansion space with the space scapes. I have two books. The one behind me is Tales of the Spirit and the Divine, to help you find the divine inside. And the second book is The Five Elements, Psychic Journey into Creation of Self and Personal Reality. And you can find me on Facebook, Expansionscapes Olga Aydınoğlu.
Beautiful. Are your
Thank
books on
you.
Amazon or where can they find those?
Yes, there are two ebooks on Amazon.
Beautiful.
And you can just look up my name, Olga Aydınoğlu, which is hard to write, but you can write Tales of the Spirit and the Divine. Then that's easy to find.
Perfect. And then I'll have links down below in the description if anybody's interested. All right. Thank you so much, Olga, for joining us today. It was great having you on, great conversation, and thank you again for the demonstration.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.